Attention, everybody. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for staying out here and supporting the march. We have an amazing special speaker coming up right now. His name is Bob Podolsky. He is a former physicist and also a former psychotherapist. So he will be talking to you guys about solutions to this whole GMO problem so we can live a GMO-free life. Let's give him a round of applause. Sorry, guys. I keep saying a hand of applause, but, you know, I guess it's my thing now.
Hi. Well, I hope you can all hear me. Good to see people turn out for this worthy cause. We want to do away with GMO, right? And we got some other things on our agenda we want to do away with, right? Like restore freedom, and I know there are people here who want to restore the Constitution, and there are people here who want a free market. There's lots of wonderful things can happen. How's it going for us so far? Let's take GMO specifically. How many GMO factories has our movement closed down thus far? Any? Anyone know? I don't think there are any. Uh-oh. Well, how many distribution centers for GMO products have been shut down? Probably none. How many politicians who've been supporting GMOs gone to jail for doing that? I mean, it's criminal what's being done to us, and it's time to do something about it. Now, I know a lot of people think that all we can do is turn out for speeches and rallies and marches and waving signs. I think it's probably a good thing that we're doing that, but I don't think that alone is going to get us the results we want. Where's the evidence that it will or has? I'm really into factual evidence. As a scientist, that counts, okay? You presume something, you call it a theory, you go test it. If it works, great, it stays a theory. Really, it's only a hypothesis until it's been proven. So where am I going with all this? Well, in 1984, a man named John David Garcia began doing some research because he was very concerned. He was a wealthy man. He'd walked away from a $100 million business in order to try to do something about what's going on in our world today. And he and I, he for 20 years and I for 17 with him, did research on how can we change the world. Now, I know it seems for some people a little presumptuous to wake up one morning and say, I'm going to change the world. Yeah, right. Next. No, yeah, but I'm really doing it. So he and I had this attitude that with the right idea, we can change the world. And what we figured out finally, I'm cutting to the chase, what we figured out is that there's only one big problem in the world and in this country. It's not GMO. Although GMO is a symptom of the problem, so is hunger, so is war, so are all the things we detest going on around us. They're symptoms. What's the cause, the ultimate cause? Well, the cause is, and you know, this is factual now. This isn't just Podolsky's hypothesis. This is a fact, proven. The basic problem is that our institutions make highly unethical decisions that affect us all. So we started asking, what has to happen for that to change? Well, we've got to have a different kind of institution. Now, Buckminster Fuller put us on the right track. He said that when you're dealing with a bad system, an evil system, if you will, you can't just face it head on and fight it and win. What you have to do, he said, is you have to invent a better system that makes the old system obsolete. That's what we've done. We know now, factually, scientifically, how to bring that about. My latest book, number 7, explains that. If anyone wants it, I've got a few copies with me. You can go online and get them, titanians.org. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few little pieces of what is in this book so you realize that what we're talking about is for real. Okay? You want to change GMO? Great. You want to change government? Great. Big business, especially banks, organized religions, and government are the institutions that are supposed to be saving us from ourselves. They don't. They're the cause of the problems. They originate the problems and perpetuate them because they're making all kinds of profits by doing that. Okay. Oh, by the way, banks, organized religions, and government, the initials spell Borg. How many of you know about the Borg? You've heard about it on Star Trek. No? All right. Well, I guess I'm just before your time on that stuff. Okay, so we've got an answer, and here's how it works. We form a little group of 7 to 9 people with an ethical purpose. What is an ethical purpose? I'll bet you most of you live your lives ethically. If you do, put your hand up, please. You live your life ethically? Yes? 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 Okay. Is there anyone in this audience who will tell me what is an ethic? Just define an ethic for me. I've never had someone come up and give a good answer to that question because it isn't taught. Little kids can learn this stuff, but we're not taught it. Why? Because if enough people knew about it, the Borg would not be able to go on existing. Everybody would say, we don't need you guys, goodbye. Okay, that's the end result of what I'm describing is government becomes irrelevant to our lives. Okay, we're not going to destroy government. We're not going to go into the White House and the Congress and tar and feather people. Instead, we're going to just make them irrelevant. Nobody needs them. Nobody wants them. Nobody puts up any money for them. Everybody stops paying taxes because we've got a better system. You take a little group of 8 people who have an ethical purpose. Now, I'm going to define that in a few words. You could spend a whole day learning what the implications of the definition are. But an ethical act is simply any act that increases love or creativity or access to objective truth, that's like scientific truth, or just awareness. Any act that increases any of those resources for at least one person without limiting or diminishing any of those resources for anyone, that constitutes an ethical act. So in less than 2 minutes, I've given you a definition that you got cheated out of knowing when you were a toddler, because this stuff can be taught to toddlers. And we need to do that. We need to have generations of people growing up understanding these very basic things. So an unethical act is one that limits or diminishes creativity for someone, for anyone. Okay, how do we bring that about? You get together a group of 7 to 9 people. You can start with 1 or 2. In fact, such things usually begin with one person decides, I'm going to go change the world today. Seems crazy, but it's working. Okay, I'm describing something that's happening. It's just getting started, but it is happening, it is working. You get this little group and they decide they're going to make all of their group decisions unanimously. Well, that means that if somebody in the group proposes something unethical, it's pretty likely that someone else in the group is going to say, wait, I'm not going to go along with that. That's unethical. And they'll debate it and discuss it until they're in 100% unanimous agreement. Then they've got a group decision. It's got to be unanimous. That means no more majority rule, no more politics, no more voting, no more of any of that junk. So a group of 8 can do that. Does there anyone here doubt that a group can learn to do that with a few hours of training? Good. You're all on board. Okay. So then what? What if you got a big project? You need 1 million people for this big project. What if you want to build roads or bridges? I mean, this question always comes up. Someone says, well, without government, how are we going to have roads and bridges? Listen, we had roads and bridges before we had government. You know? Or maybe you didn't know. Historically and archaeologically, we know that for a fact. So, they're better. The roads are better now, but not nearly as good as they could be. Okay. So you take multiple groups of 8. We call those little groups octologs. You take multiple groups and form an ethical contract between them so they can work together in harmony. And all the groups are making unanimous decisions. Once you spend a few hours learning how to make unanimous decisions, it's easy. Let me point out an example, okay, for those of you who don't believe in unanimity in groups. Everyone who's listening to this message right now, were you coerced into being here? No, I don't think so. Could you walk away voluntarily if you wanted to? Sure. Guess what? You made a unanimous decision to be here. How about that? It wasn't that hard, was it? You can learn to do that concerning much more complicated questions. And it only takes half a day to learn how to do that. So we're doing books. I got a book that explains it. I'm teaching workshops. I'm teaching people how to form these. Oh, by the way, the bigger groups are called holomats. Holomats. Okay, so a holomat of octologs can be formed for any ethical purpose. And by the way, if the purpose is unethical, it doesn't work. How about that? If the bad guys get hold of this technology, this knowledge, they can't use it because they are unwilling to make ethical decisions or constrain themselves to be making ethical decisions. So we have a tool that they are lacking. We're going to put them out of business. We've got groups going here. We've got a business incubator group here. We've got several groups in Iowa doing really good work. We got a guy in California who has people all over the country that he's talking to. They're going to do this. We're just right now in the middle of setting up a schedule. And we've got an activist in North Carolina who's attended 2 of my workshops, and he's going to be doing it there with some help from me. And one of our members is a successful businessman overseas, and this same process that I'm offering to teach you is now, they're getting excited about it in Taiwan and Shanghai. So this idea is spreading because it works, okay? I'm prepared to prove scientifically, unequivocally, that what I'm saying works. And for those of you who are reluctant to believe it, I don't blame you. If someone had come along and told me that such a wonderful thing was available back in 1983, I would not have believed it. But since 1984, I've been actively working in this area, and it's finally catching on. It took a while, but it's finally catching on, and everyone here has the opportunity to learn this simple technology, apply it, and be successful. You want to be successful at getting rid of GMO? Here's the tool you need. Because from my perspective, even though there are like national organizations set up to fight GMOs, they're pretty ineffectual. Does anyone disagree with that? You think they're really effectual? Nope, nobody disagrees. What do you know? So we agree that what we've been doing as a group hasn't worked very well, and we might get to where we can agree that there is something that does. So I have a few of these books for sale. I'm going to be here for a little while to answer questions, talk to people, and share with you as much as I can in the little time we have today of what this is all about. So with that in mind, who's got a question? Questions? Surely someone has a question. I mean, if I was in the audience and had never heard this before, I'd be going, I've got a lot of questions. How do you make it work? How do you gather people around? How do you teach this stuff? Yeah. Not all at once. It's like eating an elephant, one bite at a time, one person at a time. Fortunately, this idea is beginning to do what I think these days is called going viral. Okay, it's not the viral phenomenon that you see on the web, but the idea is spreading. It cannot be stopped. An idea cannot be fought or stopped if it's a good idea. So, and we don't need all 300 million to agree. Don't need it. If we got 3 million, we got something going powerful. 30 million, it's only 10%. That's doable. Okay? We have strategies for teaching it. For instance, the first workshop that I teach, a 2-day workshop, is on how to form octalogs, how to form holomats out of octalogs, how to work within the group, how to reach unanimous decisions, how to do the group process so that people don't get all bent out of shape and quit, how to select people. All of that's in the first workshop. The second workshop in the series is how do you teach the first workshop? Because it's one thing to know the material, it's another to teach it. So I teach the teachers. And this is starting to happen. And there are other levels beyond that in terms of additional information. And we're putting together an organization. It's starting to grow rapidly. And I can't think of any way it could stop. I hope that answers your question. What's your name, sir? Joe? Yeah, Joe. I think that's probably the most commonly asked question. How do you make people know about it? And word of mouth, internet, books, chance encounters. I have a lady friend who talks about this stuff to everyone she meets. Okay? She goes to the grocery store and she's checking out, and she's talking with the gal behind the counter, and she's telling her some of this stuff, depending on the level of interest and awareness that person has. It's simple stuff. It's simple, simple stuff. If you make unanimous decisions in a group, you can make ethical decisions. Because anyone who comes up with a proposal that isn't ethical gets told, no, we're not going to do that. And I tell you, if you propose something and 7 people turn around and look at you like you're crazy, you're going to think twice about sticking with that proposal. This makes the ethics effective. If it's effective in the small group, it will be effective in bigger groups formed out of such smaller groups. Well, you get those groups big enough and ubiquitous enough, everybody's heard of them, everybody wants to be a part of it. Here's another aspect to it. How many of you work or have worked in a hierarchy, one of these pyramid-shaped organizations, of a big corporation, a government? How many? Come on, confess. Yeah, most of you have. Okay. Well, hierarchy is a tool that is necessary to the tyrants running our lives. That hierarchy, without that, they couldn't do it. Top people could give commands, and they give commands, and they give commands. Well, who authorizes someone to give you a command? Where do these people get their authority to tell you what to do with your life? There is zero factual evidence that they have any right to tell you what to do with your life. Zero factual evidence. They made it up. The whole ball of wax, the whole thing about subscribing to government, paying taxes, doing all the stuff that you have to do if you believe in them, it's all made up. When you stop believing that it's real, it's got to go away. So that's part of what we teach. Not that we focus on the bad guys, we're focused on making good things happen. Okay, some of you might have a fledgling business, you want to see it grow. Come join our business incubator. You'll learn how to do all this stuff. You'll be exposed to all the core concepts. And once you understand it, you won't want to go back into the hierarchic business. Think about it. In a hierarchy, one of these pyramid businesses, and I'm talking about any hierarchy, any corporation, you work for a boss. The boss tells you what to do, where to do it, when to do it, how to do it, what to wear while you're doing it, how much you can earn, and thereby what kind of clothes you can wear, what kind of cars you can drive, what kind of vacations you can take, what kind of house you can live in. All of that is determined by your boss. Wouldn't you like it all to be determined by you? I choose making those decisions for myself. Is it harder? Yes and no. Okay, I had to become an entrepreneur. But that's not that hard. And I had to give up thinking that any kind of government action is going to be good. Okay? Just remember, every time a government gives someone a resource, like a grant, they've taken it away from someone else. Frederick Bastiat recognized this in 1850. He said, yeah, you can always tell a bad law because it takes resources away from one person or group and gives them to someone else. Bad. He was violently against that stuff, and I think some of us are too. So compare that experience of being in that pyramid-shaped organization, and now you have a choice to do work with people that are your friends. You quickly get to be friends with other people in your octalog. You can trust them. You can confide in them. You can hear the feedback they give you that's going to improve your life. You can give them feedback, you know. So we give each other feedback. We make unanimous decisions. We have an agreed upon purpose that's ethical. Instead of waking up in the morning and going, oh no, I got to go to work. How would you like to wake up and say, wow, I get to go to work? Woo! Isn't that better? Isn't that what you want? What are you waiting for? Okay? I'm going to step down off this platform in a minute, and if you want that for you, if you want your life changed, you want to be effective in the world, you want to change the world, you want to make great things happen, come up and talk to me, and we'll get you the information and plug you into the resources you need. Any more questions right now? Wow. I've never before given such a clear and concise presentation that nobody has questions except Joe over there, who he asked the most common question. There are a lot more questions. Think about them. Ask me them. You can email me. My email address is Cronus, it's a Greek name, Cronus, C-R-O-N-U-S, at titanians.org. That's the website, titanians.org. People are starting to go there in droves because of the quality of the information there. There's like 100 articles about the stuff that I've been talking about. So I'll see you there, and I'll see you wherever. I look forward to meeting you. You don't have to have a question to come up and talk to me. Okay, thank you very much.